Everyone, we'll get started now. You've all been waiting for this moment, haven't you? Today, it's not my lecture. Today, our Diamond Master Lee Yujin will be giving the lecture. Let me first introduce Diamond Master Lee Yujin. She currently lives in New Zealand. She is an immigrant, but she's Korean. When I first started Atomy, after experiencing some trial and error in Indonesia, I decided to start as a Korean. So, after being introduced over and over again, Diamond Master Lee Yujin is actually not someone from my own network. In Atomy, since there's no membership fee, your partners can come from connections several steps removed. That's why I've only met Diamond Master Yujin once. Isn't this the vision of Atomy, everyone? But whenever I talk with the team leader and that Diamond Master, we always say, even though we've only met once, we feel so close as if we've known each other for a long time. So, because we really connect well, I feel like I've met such a wonderful person, and it seems like we were both really lucky to meet each other. So, when none of the other leaders were interested in New Zealand, we met up, and with our passionate enthusiasm, things went really well. That's why I think team leader Yujin has become a solid, true global leader for overseas business, and by working with her, I'm also preparing to expand into the Philippines. Now, I'm also preparing for China and soon Mongolia as well. I think this is going to spread all over the world. But in that process, you have to create something first. That way, as it becomes a success, people will start saying, it works, it works. And then those replicas will keep coming out. But because my first work turned out so well, even if I talk about it, it doesn't feel real to you, does it? So today, I made a request. I asked, could you please give a lecture? And thankfully, they gladly agreed. This person is also perfect. They were so quick to prepare. Right after I asked them to get ready, they sent it to me on the same day. There was nothing I needed to revise, so I immediately said, okay. Now, let's welcome our Lee Yujin Diamond Master. Everyone, please give a round of applause. Hold on a moment, let me unmute.
Is it working now? Can you hear me? Nice to meet you. I'm not sure if I can carry on the passion since my energy is a bit different, but I'll do my best. I'm Lee Yujin, Diamond Master living in New Zealand. Nice to meet you. There are also many business partners here from New Zealand who are joining us today. Thank you so much for arranging this kind of event. My preparation isn't perfect, but since I'm just sharing my own experiences, I hope that what I've been through can be helpful to many of you. After graduating from university in Korea, I worked at CJ Home Shopping for 7 years. Then my older sister, Yoo Kyung-hee, came to New Zealand alone in 2002 and started her life as an immigrant here. So after receiving an invitation from her asking if I wanted to come and visit, I came to New Zealand with my husband in 2004. Here in New Zealand, I worked at a Korean study abroad agency for 14 years. So I mostly worked with Korean people, especially Korean mothers and students' mothers, but when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, I left the study abroad agency. Since my older sister is a kindergarten teacher, I started working part-time at a kindergarten, and that's when I came to know about Atomy. Before that, I had never even heard of Atomy, not even once, and I had no idea what kind of company Atomy was. That's because I didn't attend a Korean church or participate in any Korean community activities at all, so I had no way of knowing. But after I got to know Atomy, it's now been 4 years. It's already been 4 years, and I'm doing Atomy together with my older sister, Yuk Young. Back then, when I was working at a study abroad agency for 14 years, to be honest, that job wasn't all that easy. It was really tough at the time. But looking back now, I think the customer service and management experience I gained from dealing with those clients has been a huge help in meeting Atomy customers and partners. I truly believe that no experience in life is ever wasted. It feels like all of my experiences are coming to life through Atomy. A lot of people dream of expanding their business overseas with Atomy, right? I'm currently running my business in New Zealand, but I'm also one of those people who are considering expanding to a third country like the Philippines or somewhere else. So I've been thinking about what aspects might be helpful in that regard. The most important thing is to first understand the environment and culture of that country. Let me start by telling you a bit about New Zealand. Thank you. I've lived in New Zealand for 22 years now, and in my experience, people here are very friendly. So even during the COVID period, the government's very first slogan was something like, let's be kind to each other. They ran a lot of advertisements with this message, including TV commercials and other ads. I was really touched by that at the time, and when you introduce Atomy through cold contact, there's really no reason to be harshly rejected. So in New Zealand, cold contacting is really just about free membership, so people sign up very easily. On the contrary, as you know, you tend to get rejected more by family and friends and end up getting hurt. But with general cold contacts, it's actually easier, so the membership keeps growing steadily. But here we call it sweet talk. Sweet talk means that with words, they're so kind and seem to like everything. And when you first talk to them, they react so enthusiastically that it feels like they'll join right away. So you get your hopes up, but after that, you can't reach them anymore. There's no response. So at first you wonder if you should even keep doing this. And because of experiences like this, there are a lot of people who quit their businesses halfway through, thinking it won't work out or things just fizzle out. In our case, even after 4 years of going through this over and over, it still feels exactly the same. It's easy for everyone to sign up, but actually creating work after that is really difficult, especially through cold contact. But despite that, only those who persist until the end can succeed. However, in our case, there are actually a few proactive business owners whom we met through cold contact and who are still running their businesses with us. So the saying that if you keep at it, someone will definitely come out, and it really resonates with me. The reason anyone can join, as we all know, is because our product has no membership fee. If we keep going, we can also do cold contacts, and I was fortunate enough to meet a few such people. By doing cold contacts to meet people or meeting people through introductions, in the beginning, I tried Atomy's amazing Absolute Cosmetics and liked them so much that I started recommending them to others. In New Zealand, there are so many people who have never used cosmetics before. So, since I didn't know much about the business either, I brought those people in, thinking that if they used Atomy's Absolute, their wrinkles would disappear and so on. With that expectation, I gave them facials with Absolute, but then allergic reactions started to appear. So in the beginning, I contacted the director several times to report what was happening. For example, if I applied the eye cream, the area around their eyes would be swollen the next day, or they would suddenly break out in acne. Because of this, there were many times when I just gave them the CeraVivi set instead. So when I asked the director, they said that because Absolute is such a high-intensity, highly concentrated care product, people who have never used anything like it before can have strong skin reactions. But in the case of New Zealanders, 7 out of 10 people think that their skin is very sensitive. But because they think their skin is sensitive, they end up not applying anything. And by not applying anything, their skin gets even drier and more sensitive. So thank you for that. They're stuck in a vicious cycle and really neglect their skincare. So many people are in that situation after immigrating. There are a lot of people like that. They have no idea about cleansing, skincare routines, or any steps at all. So in the beginning, through those experiences, I realized that Absolute was way too intensive a care routine for them. After that, I started recommending products that suited each person in giving facials. Now, those problems are almost gone, but for example, if we recommend the full set of the Fame 5 products to someone who never used anything before, would they really use it? So these days, we might recommend the Habuki set, or we suggest products that are tailored to each person. We've developed that kind of know-how. It's the same with health supplements. Hardly anyone takes health supplements either. So if someone is only going to take one thing, I always think it should be Hemohim, so I tend to spend a lot of time sharing information about Hemohim. But back in 2002, when I started this business, there was an incident in 2021 where Hemohim was banned from being sold in Hong Kong. At the time, I didn't know about that incident and recommended Hemohim, but then someone searched it on Google and brought up that incident. As I met more and more people who declined, especially in the early days of my business, when I had been doing it for less than a year, it was quite difficult to share information about Hemohim. Even now, if you search on Google, that information still comes up as the very first result when you look up Hemohim. So when I recommend Hemohim, many people look it up and then contact me with questions. But a lot of time has passed since then, and our Hemohim sales have increased. We've received anti-doping certification. We sponsor the national badminton team, and there are now many things I can explain about what happened afterward. Because of all this, I am now actively introducing Hemohim. So when you introduce Hemohim to overseas business partners or consumers, this topic is bound to come up. That's why I think it's a good idea to prepare and think about how you'll answer people who are curious about it. Yes, but when Hemohim was banned from sale in Hong Kong at that time, Singapore also immediately banned its sale, but now it's available for sale again in Singapore, while in Hong Kong, for some reason related to the country, it still isn't. For those reasons, it is still not being sold there at this time. Next, in the case of New Zealand, government subsidies for living expenses are quite substantial. Not only do you receive a pension when you turn 65, but the living expense subsidies are also very generous. For example, there's a lot of support for single mothers, and they also provide assistance with accommodation costs. If you have more children, you receive additional money for each child. Because of this, if you work, you end up paying more taxes since you earn more, so there are actually quite a lot of people who choose not to work and just live on government benefits and allowances. So there are people who worry that even a small income from Atomy might cause their government benefits to be cut off. When you first register for Atomy commissions, you have to provide your tax identification number, but there are even people who say they won't accept the commissions if they are generated. That's how significant the government support is. So I don't know if you've heard this before, but New Zealanders are often compared to Kiwis, specifically the kiwi bird. The kiwi bird has become quite large and its wings have become non-functional, so it's a bird that can't fly. This is a metaphor for how New Zealanders are really complacent and dislike change. So when starting the tummy business, we thought it might actually be more effective to target immigrants like myself. That's how we began, and in our case, we focused on that direction. Immigrants tend to be more alert and are generally very proactive. When Ithegu Ipirio first arrived in New Zealand, he remarked that those individuals who decide to immigrate and actually complete the process are people who show initiative and embrace challenges, and he believed that they have already accomplished a major life-changing experience in their lives. So, I actually found myself agreeing with him quite a lot on that point. And since immigrants are essentially people who have courageously moved to another country to start a completely new life, I thought that specifically targeting immigrants might be a much more effective strategy when you are doing business overseas in international markets. Of course, this could vary from country to country, but that's something I considered. And another thing I want to mention is that there are a lot of Koreans living abroad who can't speak English. It might be hard to imagine, but even I came here barely able to speak any English. And since my husband and Yukyung were both so fluent, I never really had to use English myself. So even while I was working at my first study abroad agency in New Zealand, since it was a Korean agency, I hardly ever had to use English except for exchanging emails with foreigners. Because of that, when I quit after COVID and tried to find a new job that required English, I really felt a huge barrier when it came to the language. So I worried about it a lot, but after starting Atomy, my English has improved tremendously over the past 4 years. There's no way to avoid it. You have to do it. So the idea that everyone who lives abroad speaks English well is a misconception. You can live in New Zealand or the US without studying English at all, and there's absolutely no problem. But what's different now is that if you want to speak English, there are countless opportunities to do so, and through Atomy, I call it Atomy English. By doing Atomy English, your English can improve significantly, and then when you introduce Atomy to Koreans living abroad, some people might say, "Oh, my English isn't good enough." There will definitely be people like that. Yes, that can really happen. It really can happen. But if someone says they can't do the Atomy business because of that, you can tell them my story. I couldn't do it either at first, but I started with Atomy, transcribing all of Chairman Park's lectures and memorizing them word for word. That's how I began. But it's not just about memorizing. Since we eventually have opportunities to use it anyway, in the end, I'm grateful. You can do it. Even among the members of our team, our New Zealand team, there are some who struggle a bit with English. I share my own story with them and actively reassure them that it's not a problem. It's been 5 years now in New Zealand, Atomy New Zealand, but the membership is only about 13,000 people. It's really small, isn't it? Under me alone, there are about 2,200 members just in New Zealand. But since the total membership is only about 13,000, it's still quite small. And because there aren't that many members, seminars like the one-day seminar or Success Academy aren't held as grandly as they are in Korea. They're very modest. And when it comes to inviting people, sometimes it's actually quite embarrassing, and I think that's still the situation right now. When people are invited to seminars, it's not like in Korea where people get really fired up after seeing the vision and decide, I have to do this too. There still aren't that many cases like that yet, like in Korea. Of course, places like the US are different because they've been around for so long, but I think other countries might be in a similar situation. So in my case, I actively promote a lot to people using group chat rooms. So I consistently share things like product explanations, usage instructions, promotions, and business opportunities through group chats. And I'm running a total of 4 group chat rooms on Messenger, WhatsApp, WeChat, and KakaoTalk with about 400 members in total, the members that is. So we make sure that they are consistently exposed to that kind of information. And we also invite them to our weekly team meetings and the meetings held at the center. Anyone who is able to attend is welcome to join us at any time. So, unlike in Korea, where just inviting someone to a seminar can make it feel like something will happen, when considering overseas business, I think it's really important to actively utilize social media and group chats. For now. In my case, I started Atomy just because it was free, thinking, should I give it a try? Honestly, I didn't start because I saw a vision and thought, I have to do this. It was more like, oh, it's a Korean product, it's just a free membership, and it's a Korean online shopping mall. So I started with a light heart, but gradually found myself getting more and more involved. There was a point when I felt that my Atomy business had truly begun in earnest. When was that? In the beginning, we didn't have any experienced sponsors here who could properly guide us. So at first, it was really just trial and error. We would follow people around, wear hanbok, go to church and meet church members, and basically just mess around without much direction. During that time, I was listening to Atomy Business School online lectures by myself and kept attending lectures at the Yongno Center, learning the basics on my own. I think it was a few months later after that. I think it was when I started communicating directly with the director that the business really began in earnest. Before that, I think I was just doing it for fun. Once I started communicating directly with my sponsor and the director in Korea, I was able to resolve my questions. The business really got underway. And then as we developed the line and received counseling on genealogy, it was extremely helpful. As Atomy beginners, the mindset that my sister and I have toward Atomy is simply to do whatever the company and our sponsor tell us to do, no questions asked. That's our mindset. Because we don't know, we believe that following the path of those who have already walked it will never harm us. So we just do exactly as we're told, no matter what. Attitude is everything. Just like Dr. Lee Sang-hyun said, we've been running our business with this mindset up until now. In any case, these people are necessary for my business to thrive, and only when my business prospers can I help the hardworking business partners below me. That's why, whether it's someone who is actively and diligently working on the business or someone who has brought in both types of business partners, I learned from the director that we need to support both sides' achievements together for the business to truly grow. If I hadn't had any consultations, I wouldn't have known about this at all. So the Monday Zoom meetings with the director have been incredibly helpful, as well as the individual consultations. Also, since there are still very few people at the company who can give lectures or speak at seminars, whenever we're asked to do it, we always say yes without hesitation. From the products to the marketing plan, even when my English wasn't good, I was actually asked to give a lecture on the marketing plan. I just memorized everything, wrote out a script, and started that way. But now I can give a marketing plan lecture without any script. I think it's because of those kinds of challenges that we've been able to grow little by little. Honestly, just doing exactly what we're told, following whatever the sponsor says without question, I believe that mindset is the biggest reason our team is where it is today. So our team members also make sure to attend every seminar without fail, and whenever we suggest participating in a lecture, they actively take part. This year, we're planning to join the Korea Success 2 event in October with those very people, so I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks to people recognizing our attitude, many sponsors are now supporting us, and I believe that without their help, we wouldn't have achieved the growth we have today. Honestly, Atomy is not a business you can do with just your own abilities. It's only possible because we're together, and that makes it all the more fun. This is the last part. I'm not sure how much time has passed, but thank you for asking. Why do I do Atomy? I keep asking myself that. So, as I continued with Atomy, honestly, I was one of those people who took a long time to find the answer to that question. But when General Director Lee Deok-woo came, he gave me the answer. I had the chance to talk with him as I drove him to the airport on the day he was leaving for Korea. I asked the General Director a question. Honestly, I don't have that desperate feeling that I must succeed because of something, and I think most New Zealanders are like that. So why am I doing Atomy? And without even a second of hesitation, he gave me an answer. It's just your nature. It's fun for you. People like that do even better. That's what he told me. So I realized, this is it. I guess I have a natural talent for network marketing that I didn't even know about. It really is fun. Of course, there are people who succeed in Atomy because they are desperate, but for people like me who may not feel that desperation but simply find Atomy fun, people like us can succeed too. In fact, he said that people like that do even better. So for me, I do Atomy because I genuinely enjoy it. There are many partners who make a lot of money, and I want to help create even more of them. Yes, that's all from me. Goodbye.